When form 1 verbs are in the past tense, they fall on this pattern. فعل or فعل or فعل. Yeah? However, when form 5 verbs are in the past tense pattern, they have an additional alif with a kasra on it. Then the first radical, which has a sukoon. Then there's a ta on the pattern that has a fatha. Then we have the second radical and the third radical, yeah? So fa'ala now becomes ifta'ala. Let's do an example. So we have khalata, which is a form 1 verb, yeah? Khalata. And then we have ikhtalata, which is a form 5 verb, yeah? Same root letters, except the forms are different, yeah? So like jama'a is form 1, jama'a. Ijtama'a is a form 5 pattern. We said the imperfect pattern of a form 1 verb is yaf'alu or yaf'ilu or yaf'ulu, yeah? For a form 5 verb, the pattern starts off the same. So we have yaf. Then this ta reappears again, yeah? Yaf, ta, I, lo. Yeah? So if you go back to our other example, we can have yajma'u, and then we can have yajtami'u. And then we said the active participle for form 1 is fa'ilun, and the passive version is maf'ulun, yeah? Whereas for form 5 verbs, the active pattern starts with a meme that has a dhamma. Then we go into the first radical. Then the ta comes back. And then we have the other radicals. Mufta'ilun with a kasra is the active pattern, whereas mufta'alun with the fatha is the passive pattern. And we said that the masdar for form 1 changes, but for form 5 the masdar is the same. The masdar has an alif, then the first radical, the ta comes back, then we have the second radical, which is elongated by an alif, and then the last letter, lun, ifti'alun. So let's just focus on these form 5 verbs. If we have the root letters ja, ma, ha, and we want to make it form 5, it would now be ijtama'a, which can be conjugated like a normal form 1 verb, yeah? So ijtama'a means he gathered, ijtama'at, she gathered, ijtama'ata, ijtama'ati, ijtama'tu. The imperfect version of jama'a when it's form 5, yajtami'u, and we can conjugate it in the same way, yeah? So yajtami'u means he is gathering or he gathers. Tajtami'u can either be she gathers or you are gathering when addressing a male. Tajtami'ina is you are gathering to a female. And ajtami'u is I am gathering. And then the active and passive participles are the same except the fathas and kasras switch over. So mujtami'un is the active participle, mujtama'un is the passive participle, and finally the masdar is ijtima'un, which is a word for a gathering or a meeting. So what's the difference between these root letters when they're plugged into the form 1 pattern and when they're plugged into the form 5 pattern? So there isn't really a clear-cut distinction. But usually, if this was in the Form 1 pattern, it would be to gather. Whereas in Form 5, it would mean to be gathered. Yeah, so there's a kind of passive element to it. So for example, in Form 1, something could be to mix, to be mixed. Yeah, to fill, to be filled. It's kind of reflexive. So just to know that even when you see this word, yeah, at first glance, it looks like this word has loads of letters, yeah, but really there's only 3 root letters. The root letters are this jim, this meme, and this ain, yeah. This alif and the ta are part of the pattern. So even though it doesn't look like a past tense pattern, it is. It's just how Form 5 verbs look like when they're in the past tense.